Today we're going to examine the issue of sustainability and the corporate brand. In the studio today is Professor Simon Knox. Now Simon, you've made a good study of this area. From an outsider's point of view, there seem an awful lot of multinationals these days looking at sustainability and putting sustainability into practice, at least at a policy level. Can we start off by saying, well, what on earth is it? Lots of ambiguity there.
Yes, I think you're right, Steve. It is a sort of complicated area. But one way of thinking about it is thinking about the so-called triple bottom line. This is the idea that profit alone isn't sufficient in generating shareholder value, and it has to be supplemented increasingly by environmental concerns and people concerns, in other words, people working within your organization. So the triple bottom line is profit, people, and planet, if you will. And more companies, particularly multinationals, are recording their investment and activities in the environment and in the people that produce the products and services that they sell and market.
Now, it's all very well at one level, but at another level, at the level of the customer, are customers really interested in sustainable products and sustainability?
I think the jury's still out on that question, Steve. A recent report by McKinsey on the green consumer, as it were, suggested, A, that most consumers believe that green is good. That's the positive observation. However, what they're also saying is that consumers are not really prepared to pay a price premium for any green product or service. And secondly, they're not prepared to make trade-offs. So for instance, if you think about these sustainable light bulbs like the LED or CFL light bulbs, they somehow don't deliver in terms of wattage. They're always a bit dark and a bit mysterious, these light bulbs. So the idea that we'll trade off quality for performance is just not going to happen. In a B2B, business-to-business situation, my observation is that increasingly companies that are tendering for new business are being asked about their sustainable practices and policies. And I think it's fair to say that if you don't have any, it's likely there's a downside risk in any tendering process. So it's kind of come in, but the benefits to consumers and sometimes the benefit to companies themselves is not that clear. But of course, there is an imperative politically and legislatively to reduce carbon dioxide in many countries. And I think general managers and business leaders feel a bit of that pressure, but ultimately it's the CEOs of the major multinationals are just making decision that it's the right thing to do. So there's a kind of qualitative sense that it's good for reputation, it's good for employees, that's for sure. All the evidence suggests that employees engage in sustainable practices very willingly and very freely, and that's highly motivational. So whilst it may be difficult to put a cost-benefit analysis against much of this activity, it's undeniably the direction that most businesses need to go in.
Is there anything about reputation here? I'm thinking all over the place, Marks and Spencer's is continually saying, you know, what a great job they're doing in this area. And it does seem that, you know, consumers will look positively on that.
Yes, I think Marks and Spencer's have pretty much underplayed their so-called Plan A. They are very active across all of their operations, and they have very detailed information available for people to look at. But to say it's core to their reputation, I think, is a bit of an exaggeration. At the moment, it's happening, but they haven't really linked it closely with their reputation. If you take a company like General Electric, though, they have put sustainability absolutely central to their reputation. The so-called eco-imagination development, which is huge investment on behalf of General Electric. In fact, they're spending more money on green projects than the US government, and the benefits are there to see. And so they're making eco-imagination absolutely central to their reputation. They've even developed some advertisements showing their investment in green products and sustainable practices. So some companies are taking the bold initiative, whereas others are letting it develop and seeing where it goes reputational-wise.
So in summary then, Simon, the jury seems to be out. We seem to be getting some market leaders. But what would you say, in summary, was the essence of sustainability?
I think there is little choice for companies to engage in sustainable practice, whether it's environmental, whether it's people issues and employment issues. That's point number one. Point number two is that there seems to be evidence emerging that considerable cost savings can be made. If, for instance, you take the Tesco sustainable policy, they set aside £500 million for sustainable investment, and 2009 was a year in which they saved £100 million on sustainable practices. So what we're seeing emerging is some level of cost saving against the upfront investment. Although the model is far from complete, my belief is that over time it will become a self-funding activity, but it takes the brave to make the investment in the first places.
Simon, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.